Hiya, friends. Nice to see you. Welcome back. My name is Dean. It is Thursday, and we're busy today. I feel like my microphone's incredibly hot. Lochlin, am I hot? Check 1, 2.
No, you.
Lochlin Cross is back, ladies and gentlemen. Am I hot? Is
You
my
sound
mic
okay.
hot right now? Am I hot?
You
Am I
sound
peaking?
okay.
Am
No,
I
you're good.
peaking? Is test?
You're-
Is it okay? I feel good. I sound good.
Yeah. No, you're
Okay.
you're good. You're good.
Just making sure I sound good. Anyway, nice to see everybody. It is Thursday. We got a full slate. We're doing some cancel culture stuff, sleeping naked. We're going to talk about a few other things today, including Pink Shirt Day. My friend Jimmy, your friend Jimmy, is doing something cool for Kids Help Vote. I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
And we're in conjunction with the wonderful people over at Harvard Media. You can go to the front page of crier.co and, of course, 957cruisefm.ca. And check it out. We're going to get to that in just a second.
Actually,
as well.
all the Harvard radio station pages have the pink shirt.
Oh,
So.
how cool is that? He started a revolution, an anti-bullying, anti-harassment revolution. I like that.
It's Jimmy.
Yeah,
Wasn't me.
little Jimmy. Well, I know it was little Jimmy, but
I just wrote some emails.
You put it on Super Boosters this year. Anyway, we're going to get to that. A few other things, including some definitive information about these UFO sightings. I haven't told anybody yet. I got the details. I got the deets. I know what's going on with the UFO sightings.
I'm wildly curious about this.
All right,
so
good.
Any conversation we can have about the UFOs that got shot down on the weekend, I am fully invested.
Yeah, me too. I want them to be aliens. I've said it like 100 times. You haven't been on the show this week. And people are wondering where you've been. Lochlin Cross, at Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Give him a follow. You can also listen to his morning show every weekday morning on 957cruisefm.ca. Host of The Locker Room. Not just a clever name. But
I will be honest. Can I be brutally honest with you? With respect to why I have not been here on this podcast.
Yeah.
I have had some struggles in the last, I'd say, month with things. This isn't even personal stuff. This is just work related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so things weren't going the way I wanted them to go. I get into a very cynical and negative headspace, and I don't think I'm a benefit to anybody, myself, friends, family, people I work with. And so I also have been putting a lot of stuff off over the last 6 months. So I needed a bit of a break. And everyone thinks I was joking about the book. I am actually going to write the book. I am.
So wait a second. You need, and which, by the way, you know me, like when you said, hey, I need a few days off this week, I got a bunch of stuff to get to. You didn't have, and I know you didn't include the part where you're like, I'm pretty fucking triggered by something right now, and I don't feel like I'm going to be any good on the show this week.
You know what it was? Somebody asked me to be on a podcast last week, like to do one, and it was Brent.
Yeah.
Brent's got a great little podcast, and
did Will. It's a great pod.
I was like so stressed out about it because I'm like, I'm going to get in. He wants me to come up with some sort of a concept, and then we're going to get into it, and I'm going to be negative, and I'm just going to be a dick, and I'm going to ruin his day. And when I knew I was going to do that, so I sent him a note and I said, I got to bail. I can't do this. And I gave him some lame excuse. And then shortly after that, I was like, I'm going to take a break from Dean's pod as well.
Attaboy. Yeah, dude, I'm taking a break in March. I'm taking a week off straight. Not going to be here. Going away.
I got a lot done. And I went to the doctor, which I was putting off. I got my teeth cleaned. You can't fucking tell.
Oh, they look delicious. Yeah, they look great.
Teeth. Yeah. Guess who got the braces? My sister.
Oh.
Anyway, still bitter about that.
Your parents only had enough money for braces for one, and they had to pick, and you were short end of the straw. Is that
I didn't even get the rock, paper, scissors. It was like, no, we're gonna let the pretty one get them.
Well,
so I got screwed.
Sorry.
And
you can still get them. You can still get them, by the way. You can still get them.
Adult
braces. People look goofy in adult. I am too. Yeah. Like I have friends that got braces at like 45, 50, and I'm like, are you fucking serious, dude? Like you're 5 years away from getting all fake teeth, and you're getting braces just to straighten out those teeth until they fucking fall out. Are you kidding me? And they're like, leave me alone. And I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? Leave me alone. I get the braces.
That's just as
people that
annoying
get
as
adult braces are my
annoying.
least favorite people. So, like, I hold them in the same regard as people that wear wigs.
The wig's bad, but
Yeah.
I also hate braces on porn stars. Like if I see a braces on a porn star,
You're
out.
turned off.
Yeah, right away I got to get out. So it's just I'm triggered just as much as
for some people. That's a kink. You know that, right?
Is it?
Yeah, braces are a kink. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Braces and
All
glasses.
right.
They're like a kink for some people. I don't even know. There might even be braces porn, if I'm not mistaken. But to your point,
I have not Googled that.
Braces porn?
I would be very worried about what I would get.
Oh, the people have kinks of all kinds. Like headgear porn, you know, the old like 80-year-old braces where you had to wear the rubber band around your head and you had the metal things in front. There are guys out there that are like,
Chloe.
Love headgear porn.
Chloe had that in grade 8.
Oh, did she? Headgear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that?
She was also the one that almost lit herself on fire in woodworking class. But
that makes more sense. Anyway, can I ask you a question to start the podcast? Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Very self-aware. Love you to death. You're always welcome. You know that. You're my guy. What the fuck happened to your head?
Well, I should actually put a hat on, but I've been trying to get air.
Because that was my thing. When I saw you last night, you and I are shooting the shit, right? We're talking, getting ready to do a podcast today. And I'm like, are you? And by the way, you were naked when I talked to you last night. Quick phone call around 9:30 your time, around 11:30 my time. You're completely nude. You're in the fart sack and like naked. I just see nipples and chest and stuff like that. It was very odd. We'll get to that in a second too. But I saw this thing on your head, and I'm like, what the fuck happened to your head, dude? And you're like, it was that why I thought that's why you weren't at work. I thought that's why you weren't doing the podcast because you had a fucking massive head.
No, I'm not that vain. Okay. I will put a hat on though, it's actually when I wear a hat, it bugs me.
Anyway, I haven't heard the story about your head injuries yet because I said, and you know this. I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want to hear it now. Save it for tomorrow so we can all find out together.
So when I went to the doctor, I had a list of things that I needed to deal with. One is my foot. I've got that. I showed you a picture of my toenail.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with that. What else? I did the full thing. I got to go get the blood work and all that, right? I go once a year. I go for a checkup. I have now for quite a few years. My wife's father, he passed away when he was 47.
Gotcha.
So my wife was a little bit twitchy on the once we got a little bit older about going to the doctors. So I try not to be that guy that never goes to the doctor. I go once a year. Anyway, I went to the doctor and I've got a couple of things, couple marks on my, I'm 53 now. Like,
you got skin tag. See, this was when you get to like the age of 50, you got to have your hoop checked. You got to get your body checked.
They don't go in anymore.
Tags. They don't go in the asshole. Did you get that checked yesterday too?
Yeah. He just said no. He said I don't need to worry about it. I just got to go shit on a plate, and take it in, and then they take a sample and do a test. And blood work. Apparently, the blood work also covers off. But I'm pretty healthy. I'm not on any medication.
Yeah.
I work out every day. He's not worried about me. But anyway, I had a couple of things. Just, hey, they got a mark here. I've had this bump on my head for about a year or two. And my wife keeps going up to it to pop it. And it's not a zit. I don't know what it is. It's not a zit. Stop that. So anyway, she said, well, get it checked out. And it's not discolored or anything like that. It's just a bump.
Yeah.
And so I showed it to him and I said, do you know what it is? And he's a good doctor. I actually like this doctor, Dr. Spock. And he basically said to me, he goes, I don't know what that is. Let's freeze it off.
Right there, right during your thing, while you're getting all the other stuff done. He's like, yeah, let's fucking take a shot at that. Let's freeze that bump off your head.
And as you can see, he just pissed it off. And now I just have a mark on my forehead and it's just angry. And the bump's still there. Like he did nothing to remove the bump.
It's amazingly centered right smack dab in the middle of your fucking head too. Like it is.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
Right there. It's very distracting. Today,
So does he not know what it is? So here's a question: does he not know what it is? Are you worried that it's like?
No, I'm not worried about it at all. It's
Yeah.
just a skin thing, right? So anyway, yeah, I don't know if we'll see how long it takes for that to heal up. Today, Jimmy, of course, this happened on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Jimmy noticed it today. Hey, what's wrong with your forehead? He's so out of it. The first thing you said to me last night, I hadn't talked to you in like a week, and you're like, hey, what's up with your forehead? You didn't even say hi.
That's because we
Jimmy,
know
I've been around Jimmy
like,
for 3 days and hasn't seen it. Like all he sees is shapes.
Dude, all he sees is your chin. Let's be serious. He's not looking at your forehead. He's like 4'2". He's a little person. Speaking of which, we've got Pink Shirt Day coming up, which is really Jimmy's Pink Shirt Day. Jimmy and yourself have put on this incredible event. It's going to be a panel on the 22nd of this month, which is coming up next week. And if you go to any Harvard Radio webpage, if you go to crier.co, if you go to 957cruisefm.ca, you can get registered. I'm excited for this, and I think registration's really starting to pick up. But it is all in support of our friends over at Kids Help Phone. And the panel looks like it's going to be great. We've got Jen Valentine, who I think I heard you on the radio with the other day. Was that today? Was that today that I was listening to?
Yeah, we called Jen.
Awesome. Yeah, she
was really cool.
Yeah. Kareem Assad's going to be there as well. But make sure you go to crier.co because this is a fundraiser for Kids Help Phone. Kids Help Phone, 1-800-668-6868. That's a phone number. Listen, I give it out anytime I say Kids Help Phone, 1-800-668-6868 because it's about kids. It's not about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about talking about bullying. It's about talking about harassment and how to deal with it. And a lot of kids are up against it. Jimmy's got to be excited. He's the host of this thing. Is he pumped?
He's a little nervous. Is
nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be great.
The thing about this is something that Jimmy has been passionate about for years. So he was bullied he's a little person, right? And Dean's not wrong. He's just over 4 feet tall. And as a kid, being very different, obviously he was a target for abuse. And it's interesting how that whole thing shaped him, right? And I think after he got out of high school, got on his own, a lot of people might even remember this. So Jimmy, out of high school, joined a little person's basketball team, kind of like, and they had a little routine and they would go from school to school. Yeah. And they would play a full-size team, and they would do like a little mini version of the Harlem Globetrotters, right? And they all had their little sort of skits and sketches in it, but they would also talk to the kids about bullying and about being different. And Jimmy was sort of one of the main guys in those presentations back in the day. And so after he left the basketball team and it was disbanded, he was still doing Pink Shirt Day, and he was still involved with Kids Help Phone. And then when I brought him in, I said to him, is there anything you feel real passionate about? And he went, yes, Pink Shirt Day, anti-bullying messages and things like that. And I said, okay, well, if anything presents itself, I'll make sure that we jump in. And so we helped him promote his Pink Shirt Day initiatives. And at the beginning, it was just him going to schools and things like that, right? Visiting schools around.
He did that out of his own time. Like he was that guy that would just kind of take time out of his day. This is our Pink Shirt Day discussion live stream. We'll tell you all about it as Lochlin kind of explains it. But that's what it morphed from, right? Like this live stream went into 70, 80 schools last year, but originally started several years ago with him just going into schools and saying, guys, be nice to each other. Here's what you got to do, right? Yeah, it was grassroots.
Well, and kids love Jimmy, right? He's just awesome. So anyway, you go in and he has a little presentation that he does when he goes to schools. COVID hits, and I'm like, we got to come up with some other way of doing this, right? Like, can we think of, and I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about Zoom and Skype and that kind of stuff. So that was one of the benefits of COVID, because now he's on Zoom. This is like 4 years ago. And at 2020. So yeah, not that long ago. So he ends up going on, and we started signing up classrooms across the country, and he started doing his little presentation on Zoom. And then obviously with my involvement with you, we kind of added some steroids to it. And now we've got the Pink Shirt Day broadcast, which is happening next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I want to make sure that I point this out because we've run into a couple of things this week.
There's Jimmy
with
right there,
little
cute little fella. Look at him
anyway.
right there.
Anyway, I love the guy. He and I've always made sure that I do everything I can to help him with this event because I know how important it is to him. So anyway, the thing I want to point out is because we've run into a couple of snags with this. One being Saskatchewan, we did not know this, but they're taking the entire week off next week from class. So again, this has always been a focus on kids, and it's always been a focus on classrooms and teachers and things like that, which it still is. And we will sign up anybody anywhere in the country. If you have a sister who teaches, a brother who is a principal somewhere, or vice principal, or you've got somebody, your mom or somebody's high up in the school system somewhere, let them know about this, and we'll send you the link on Wednesday morning, an hour or so before we go live. Plus, this will be available for download after the fact as well. But you might want to tune in live and take part in the chat and ask a question and all that. So the thing about it is, it's not necessarily this message has really evolved in the last couple of years, in that there's adults that are dealing with things.
You think so? Have you been on Twitter recently? Yeah. have you been online? You aware of Facebook? Have you seen Twitter? Are you aware? Bullying is one of those things that's universal. Harassment is one of those things that's universal. If you have a look at and getting the kids to talk about what they're dealing with adults that are going through it and have gone through it. I mean, my God. It's a brilliant thing to do. These are the panelists: Jen Valentine, James P. White, Kareem Assad, Ali Khan Haji. He's the development officer for community partnerships at Kids Help Phone. And there's a little panel here. If you go to the Crier Media section, crier.com at the front, where you can get your school involved in the active discussion panel. You can also, right underneath it, you can buy a shirt. If you can't be there for discussion, you can buy yourself a shirt, because the goal is to raise money for Kids Help Phone, which we're very, very committed to doing, regardless of anything. This is about kids. But when you bring up like adult bullying, so anyway, go to crier.co is where you can get it. It is like it's all time. I mean, we've never seen, I used to say this all the time. If you get out of fucking school, if you get out of high school, if you get out of elementary school with like some confidence intact, and you know who you are getting out of school, the rest of life is a breeze. But we've brought bullying from high school to social media, and we give it to everybody every day. Doesn't matter. And some of it's got to stop. Like, I mean, it's okay to have fun with people, but we live in a society where literally technology rewards you for being a total asshole who harasses and bullies people, right? It just is. It's the way it works.
And there are
how the algorithm works.
There are definitely, unfortunately, there are personality types that crave any kind of attention, no matter what kind of attention it is, and that includes negative attention. So here's some people that are going to speak to that, and hopefully and with the Kids Help Phone involvement too. And then we can move on here quickly, but you can register through the webpage. Go to the Crier webpage.
Now, right at the top, meet the panel about the event. Get all the details, crier.co. Pink Shirt Day discussion, live stream 2023, reminding us to speak up, support, look out for those who have a voice. February the 22nd. 1 in 5 kids is affected by bullying. The Pink Shirt Day happens in 110 countries. 493,000 shirts sold. $2.8 million raised. Kids Help Phone and Harvard Media. Pink Shirt Day discussion is back, and James P. White is your host. We would love for you guys to join us. And I really appreciate you bringing this up and taking control of this. It's much bigger than it has been last year. It was huge last year, but it's going to be bigger this year. But this is not about us. It's not about panelists. This is about us trying to explain to children, to adults, why it's not a good idea to crush a human being's soul. It just isn't.
But I think here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that I think is interesting about where we're at as a society right now. I think we're at a point where people are getting more and more comfortable about sharing where they're at, right? And they're also more comfortable.
You mean being vulnerable?
Up. Yes, I think everybody is. I think there's more of an appetite for it, and I think we're more, maybe we're a little more capable of doing it societally. We're more self-aware, where, if something is happening to you in a certain situation, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's with a friends group, that it's not a bad idea to go, hey, you know what? I don't like how that makes me feel. Can we have a conversation about that? And I think as well, there are more resources nowadays for anybody that's going through this kind of stuff. Jimmy was surprised to hear the Kids Help Phone has been around for years and was actually a potential resource when he was a kid, when he was going through the shit that he was going through. And he was like,
he's like, I didn't call it because I didn't want to. It was embarrassing. And
No,
now he's
no,
like,
but
no,
he
no,
didn't
this isn't
know.
embarrassing, right? This is
He's
about
like-
life.
he didn't know. And he was
Yeah.
like, now I know.
Well, he didn't want to
about
talk
this.
to anybody, is my point.
That's the
Right.
other, yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying now we have these resources, and a big part of this sort of the evolution of this Pink Shirt Day discussion is that now we actually have a group behind us that specialize in this, and so we've got this resource angle. It's not just a day where we highlight some of the stories from a couple of people on a panel. Now it's a day where we also say, hey kids, if you have an issue and you feel more comfortable talking to somebody you don't know, here's a phone number. Boom.
Super important. It's funny. I think about this in terms, like, I try to extrapolate out. And I did some reading on this after we started to partner with you and Kids Help Phone and the good people at Harvard Media. And I don't know if you know this, but like 70% of kids that get abused at school suffer abuse at home. So they can never get away from it. And that abuse could be qualified in a million different ways. It could be verbal abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be mental abuse, it could be emotional abuse. But 70% of kids are technically abused from the second they wake up to the second they go to bed.
Good Lord. I had no idea.
You know how fucking unbelievable that is?
Yeah.
And we wonder why. And the reason why is because kids' only job is to literally try and outrun their parents' mental illness until they're 18. Adults, seriously, adults are just giant kids with no tools. And adults don't have to be accountable to being better people to get those tools. And then they have kids, whether they want them or not. And then they take those shitty tools and abuse their kids by not having those tools, whether they're yellers and screamers, or they put those kids down because their dad put them down, whether they spank them or hit them because their dad and their mom did the same thing. And then they got to get up in the morning, and then they got to go to school, and it fucking crushes me. It crushes me. And I can't imagine that life. And the fucking crazy part is I lived that life, right?
Yeah.
I lived that life as a kid where I got up in the morning and didn't know if I was going to get my ass kicked by my dad, or talked down to, or told I was useless. And then I had to go to school and fight that out, figure that out at school. And you couldn't actually get a moment's peace. And the word friend meant so much to me when I was younger. Like, it was fucking incredible how much having a friend made me feel like I wasn't alone for a minute, just a minute, because it was all the time. And there are so many kids out there like that right now that just can't get away from it. And my heart fucking breaks. I got 3 boys. The only job I have is to make them feel like this home is total comfort all the time. That's it. That nothing changes. You know the rules. You know the expectations. My expectations are for you to love yourself and be a happy, accountable individual, and we'll do that together. It's not to make you feel like shit when you make a mistake, dude. It's none of those things. It's not to yell at you when you're trying to learn about how life works at the age of 16, 17, 18. It's not to say, what are you, an idiot, because you don't know something that you haven't been taught. That's abuse, for fuck's sakes. And I'm so aware of it at this age of my life, because it's okay to be vulnerable now. You pointed it out earlier, right? And these are the things that connect us. These are the things that make us better people. These are the things that make us want to be better people and look for answers. So I would highly encourage everybody to take part in Pink Shirt Day. And I would also encourage everybody to look at how you speak to others. Yeah, your kids, yourself. I mean, we deserve to speak in love and respect with the people that we say we love the most, right? And a lot of these kids go to school and they're like, oh, my friends, they love me, but they treat me like shit. Oh, my family, they say they love me, but they treat me like shit. Man, it is so much harder to fix a broken adult than it is to fix a broken kid. So don't break your kids. And join us for Kids Help Phone Day. That'll be a lot of fun. It'll be nice. Be nice to talk, won't it?
We may have somebody or a couple of people on this panel that is living proof that it's harder to fix adults.
Speaking of which, speaking of fixing you, last night while we're talking about your head, your massive head injury, you call me and you're naked. And I say to you, are you naked? And you go, yes, I'm naked talking to you.
Called
you're like,
me.
I'm in bed. Yeah, but you sent me like 14 texts and called me like 5 times and I didn't pick up earlier in the day because I was busy. So I just called you back. So let's get that out of the way. Is that it was tag. Finally, we catch up. You're naked and you're in bed. Now, I know a lot of people sleep naked, but what really shocked me, and I asked you this question and I was floored by it. What really fucking shocked me was that you don't shower before you go to bed. So you go and do an entire day from 4 a.m. until 9:30 at night. You walk around stewing in your own gooch juices, maybe 2 or 3 dumps, no idea, about 15 peas if I know you. And you
get a lot of fluids in me.
And you just gear down and you take all that into the wrapper with you.
Okay. Well, first off, I will say this. I am a multi-day, like I will shower in a day twice. Like if I do yoga and I'm feeling a little grotty, I'll jump in the shower. But I do not shower before I go to bed. I shower when I get up. So I gotta feel like I need a shower. So I'd say 2-3 times a week, I'll have an afternoon shower. But but we change the sheets.
No,
every weekend.
No, it doesn't matter. I know you wash it. You're supposed to change your sheets every week to 2 weeks maximum. Yeah, even if you sleep in pajamas. But like all the ass chips and all the schmegma,
I get in there.
I told you, I'm all day long. It's like it's brewing, and then you get into the fart sack, and you got good maintenance. You trap it in the old Dutch oven, and all that stuff. Like, does your room smell? Does your bedding smell?
No,
like ass and taint?
No.
Are
you not cleaning? Like, I'm a good cleaner.
I clean all the time. I shower.
I dig out there.
I'm a digger. Okay, and are you not afraid? Like, if let's say a fire, are you not afraid of getting up and fighting a fire naked with your dinger hanging out? Or like if you get robbed, are you not afraid that you're going to be fighting a guy naked on the street with your dink hanging out? Like, does that not cross your mind? Like, is that a little preparation before you go to bed? These are the thoughts I think. I wear a t-shirt and a pair of Gitch to bed, and I'm like, I'm good. I can fight a guy in a pair of Gitch and a t-shirt, and I can also run across the street in a pair of Gitch and a t-shirt.
I've never really had to deal with that in my life. I've never had to fight anybody or a fire in the middle of the evening naked. Now that you've brought it up, I'm probably not going to stop thinking about it. I started sleeping naked. I don't remember ever wearing clothes. I geared down from literally from the time I was a kid.
You always got into bed naked, huh?
100%.
Can you sleep with clothes on? Is that obstructionist to you?
Oh man, it would be. I've tried to sleep with underwear before. I hate it. I can't stand it. I got to be free balling.
It's amazing. I know, and I'm not judging you. Is what I'm saying. I'm just trying to go through the Rolodex in my mind of possibilities of sleeping naked.
I bet you it's 50-50. I bet you 50% of the people listening right now sleep naked.
All right. Well, everybody here is like, I'd be afraid an ass chip might fall up my nose. That's Graham. Saucy Zewich is Lochlin water blessed his cornhole, so he'll probably be cleaner than you think. Yeah. He did say he's a digger. She's got your back, dude. This Saucy Zewich who you fucking hate. She's got your back.
I don't hate her. I just don't understand the constant attacks. So
nude all the way.
Her. Yeah.
I sleep in Gitch. Danny for real. Nude, kit bum, not naked. LOL. That's great. I bet you it is. I bet you it's 50-50. I've never slept naked, and I'm fascinated by people who do, because I'm like,
it's actually
process there that might be a little filthy. What do you mean it's better for you? Okay, I'll look it up.
Look it up. Like you're supposed to sleep naked.
No, you're not supposed to sleep naked.
I bet you the top article you get, it will talk about the benefits of sleeping naked.
Is sleeping naked better for you? Research suggests that sleeping naked may potentially positively impact reproductive health, connection with a partner, and self-esteem. Currently, there isn't much scientific research study, if any, on the effects of sleeping nude or reliable data at all. However, roughly half the people in the United States sleep naked. So you lied right in the middle. So you just lied.
Science.
You just lied, got caught, and it said, I told you it's science. I'd do the same thing. Speaking of which, great story out of Edmonton today. People losing their minds. I had no idea that this
I haven't heard this one. Is this new?
Yeah, it's brand new. Social media chatter on Wednesday led to the city of Edmonton needing to clarify its stance on letting any Edmontonian swim topless in city pools, calling it a human rights issue. It's from Courtney Thoreau, who does news out in Edmonton. The city of Edmonton changed its pool policy last summer. It's going to allow all swimmers to go topless to improve inclusivity. Advocates say it's a step forward for equality. Not everybody is comfortable with the move. And those people who aren't comfortable with the move obviously aren't comfortable with their bodies, or they're religious, so they don't like it.
You know what? Can I say this?
Hang on. Yeah, I want your thoughts on it. That's why I asked. We've had toplessness out here for, I don't know, a generation. I mean, it was like 25 years ago. They're like, okay, ladies, you can peel the tube tops. And everybody's like, yay. I was shocked to find out. And by the way, you never see it. You never see anybody just dump them out and go for a walk. Never. But you can do that in Toronto and Ontario.
And it's
not
legal.
get away with it.
Okay.
Totally legal. I had no idea it wasn't illegal everywhere until I read that article about people being able to swim topless in pools in Edmonton. Like, I had no idea. But it makes sense people in Edmonton are angry about it. It's fucking wild.
We do have, I think, a larger concentration of secular people in, like, overall. Like, I think the per capita, I think it's a stronger thing here in Alberta, right? Especially in the rural areas. The thing for me is, like, listen, I don't want to get in the way of whatever you want to do. It's your body, right? If you want to breastfeed a baby, you go crazy. I am not going to have a problem with that. None of that. It's all good. But I think if that's something that you want to do, if you would like to express yourself and you would like to be naked in a public situation, I think you should look for opportunities where other people are doing it and it's more acceptable. I'll be honest, if I was at the pool and let's say it was okay to take your trunks off, I would probably not want to be in the pool with Larry. Right?
Those are bottoms, though. We're talking about bottoms. This is just topless.
I'm talking about nudity as a whole. There are situations in Edmonton where people go to pools and they rent the place out and it's a nude night. I've just found out about this. One of our listeners who actually listens to the podcast as well, Christy, called us, and a friend of hers invited her to a nude swim. And I'm like, you have to tell me about that after that happened. So she called us a couple of weeks ago and gave us the lowdown. It's on one of our podcasts.
Yeah, she's in right now. She's in the comment section. She said, I did a naked swim with the nudist group. It was awesome.
And she admitted that she was a little nervous about doing it, but once she got out there, it was fine. I think that's how things should be presented. If you are into being naked and you're okay with it being in public, maybe you should look for those opportunities where everyone else is doing it. And then it's an evening. Like, hey, Wednesday, we're going to the pool and everyone's dick out. Then go crazy. I think outside
Lane's
of that
night, like on Thursday, it's Lane's night. On Friday, it's like flutter and float night. But on Saturday night, it's dick out night. Bring your dicks, haul them out, your boobs, your vaginas. Let's see it all. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think you're right. I think there's probably lots of opportunities for people to do it. But I do applaud the idea. And the reason why people are pissed off in the city of Edmonton, because I laughed about this, they're angry because, like, one person was like, I'm angry because they're hiding this toplessness behind inclusivity, and we're going to be inundated with non-binary people and trans people, and oh my God. Like, that's the majority of the people that are angry. But let me tell you something, Edmonton, okay? I've lived in this beautiful province of Ontario, which is a pure kleptocracy now, and it's a shithole. But I've lived here for a long time. And we've had the topless rules around here for 25 years. Quarter of a fucking, that's a generation. It's a quarter of a century. Yeah, quarter of a century. 25. Not great at math. There you go. Quarter of a century. I've rarely, if ever, I've seen a couple of people in certain circumstances, not in everyday life, walking around naked. I've seen people at the pool naked, for sure. I've seen people at the beach naked a couple times, like topless, just topless, not naked, just topless. And I can truthfully tell you this. It is never the person you wished was topless, like ever. And a lot of people that choose to go naked, that go to nude beaches, nude resorts. If you've been to a resort, right? I've been to a resort. A lot of resorts are next to other resorts. Some are clothing optional resorts. Some beaches, I've never been able to take my clothes off. Would never do it. I've been wearing a shirt for 40 years. Barely can take it off to get in the shower. That's just me. However, there are people out there that love being naked. And the people who really, I've noticed, love being naked all the time, or being topless, or having the ability to be topless, are not the kind of people that would cause your teenager to sin. Let me just point that out. They're not the kind of people where you'd go, snap, snap. I'm going to put that in the spank bank for later. It just isn't. Those are the kind of people that just have no more fucks left to give, and they kind of love being naked a lot. That's it. That's all it is. You don't have to worry about them.
One of them.
They're not groomers. That man is one of them. I spoke with him naked last night on the phone. I saw way too much.
Way too much. And
he didn't care.
About nudity.
You've called me doing yoga naked in a Speedo, and you're that guy. I would never judge you if you said, Dean, you know what? It's great being in here, St. Lucia, big Crier media trip. We're having a great time. I'm going to kick my pants off and walk around naked for the rest of the afternoon. I'd be like, go for it, big cat. Go for it. Doesn't bother me, because you're one of those guys I don't want to see naked.
Add to your theory, no one wants to see Locker naked.
No one wants to see anybody over the age of 50 naked. That's it. Unless your name is Elizabeth Hurley, nobody wants to see any of you naked.
Yeah. Anyway, the naked thing doesn't bother me. If you want to be naked, my wife actually, because now the kids have been gone for a bit. So when they come back, I always get a little talking to. She'll be like, okay, Lock, kids are coming home. You can't be naked all the time.
What do you mean? All the time.
I get
when you
warned,
say naked, well, give me a ratio of how much you're naked around the day.
I walk around the house quite often without doors.
Like at 2 p.m?
Yeah, there's really no timeline.
Have you eaten dinner naked?
Pants.
Will you eat dinner naked?
I've had a sandwich in front of the TV without standing there, without pants on.
Do you cook naked?
I don't cook naked because of the.
Oh, you don't want to get any splash?
Back. Yeah. Backsplash.
You are a bit of a nudist, aren't you? Good for you.
From the time I was a kid, too. Like,
well, you grew up like that.
I was raised.
Wasn't your whole family naked? Like, didn't you guys live in the bush, kind of naked? No one, and like underwear was
numerous pictures of me naked when I was
luxury.
A kid. Yeah, we bathed outside. Like for a couple years, we didn't have indoor plumbing.
You're like a connection to a world lost. Is really what you are.
We had this big cast iron tub.
Yeah.
Outside, and we would go down to the Moye River with big 5-gallon buckets, and we'd fill up the buckets, put them in the back of the GMC, and then we would drive to the house, and we'd pour the buckets into the tub, do rock, paper, scissors to see who got to go first in the tub, and we'd light a fire underneath of the cast iron until it was hot enough, and then we'd have a bath. We had wood slats underneath on the water so that you weren't sitting directly on the cast iron. And we had a little fence, just a tiny little fence around the tub. And that was how we bathed for a couple of years when we first moved to Yak, because my stepfather bought a piece of land, and it was just a piece of land. We had a little shack. He built a quick shack the first year we moved out there, and had his old hippie van that he literally drove up beside it as close as he could, hit the chainsaw and cut a hole in the wall. And then the van was my mom and my stepdad Peter's bedroom. And he just stuffed blankets in between. I swear to God, man, I could keep going. We had no phone. We had a
No cable?
we
Do
had
you
a
have TV?
wood
You ever watch
stove.
TV? No TV. If you didn't have a phone, there's no fucking way.
I didn't have TV until I left home, until I got on my own. I was like 18, 19 when I had
Did you ever
TV.
watch TV?
We had a TV once he built the house, which took a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was in like grade 10 or 11 by the time. Yeah, grade 10, I think. Once we had a house, we had a TV in the main room, but we didn't have cable. We were in the middle of nowhere. And so we would go to the Yak General Store. They had videos, and we'd get a video on beta. And we'd watch movies on.
Yeah, but
Friday
my point
night.
is, you watched movies. Like you had the ability to watch something on a television, but you didn't watch television. Like you didn't grow up watching
No.
Magnum PI. You didn't grow up watching Family Feud. You didn't grow up
No.
watching Wheel of Fortune. You didn't
None.
grow up watching. So when you moved out and you started watching television, were you like shocked? Was it like going to a different country, a different world altogether? You're like,
I read
many fucking
books.
options.
I read books. I was a ferocious reader when I was a kid. Like I would read a book, 2 books a week.
What happened?
I stopped reading when I found out the TV was awesome. So I've been catching up for not having TV.
You guy. Oh, fuck. Good for you.
I think that's probably why I got into radio, because I constantly listened to music and I constantly listened to radio when I was doing
and you were curating stories all the time in your head, right? Same thing
Yeah.
with me. We had 3 channels when I grew up. I mean, we didn't sleep outside and didn't grow up naked, but we had agrovision. That's what I call it, because we grew up out west. It was like fucking.
We had a
farmers,
teepee
like,
down
3
by the
channels.
river, I swear to God. And we'd start a fire in the middle of it, and or just outside of the teepee, start a big fire, and we'd have the river rocks, and then we'd take the rocks into the teepee, and we'd take water from the river and pour them on, and we'd have a sauna. Like literally, I was spear fishing sucker fish from the
You grew up
Moye
like
River
Nell.
when I was a kid.
You grew up like Nell from Nell, right? Jodie Foster in that movie, who grew up in the woods.
Yeah.
That's how you grew up. You grew up like Nell in the woods.
Yeah.
Were you
was
shocked by
crazy.
like technology when you were younger too? When you go, like, would you go into the city and go, "Oh, what is that?" And he's
Nah,
like,
it wasn't
"A
that big. I mean,
mailbox."
we'd go visit my grandmother.
What is
or
that? It's a
my
payphone.
grandmother had a satellite dish. Remember, she had one of those old ones. It was the size of a bus.
Oh, it was like, yeah.
And then where if
You had to
didn't
pour
get
like
the
a
right
12-foot
channel-
cement pad for it. That's satellite dish.
and you didn't have the right channel, someone had to go out and crank a lever, and you'd like, more to the left.
Okay, stop. It's
So I remember
perfect.
that. I remember that being a big deal. I have a very vivid memory of the first computer when I was in school. We moved around a lot, and a single mom, and so she was kind of following the jobs. And my grandmother ended up taking care of us for 1 year. I think it was my grade 7 year. So we were living in Castlegar, and she owned a campground just outside of town, Hislop's Highway Campground. And so we were living there, and I was going to school. And that year, my grade 7 year, they brought these guys back this truck up to the classroom, and they hauled out this fucking computer. They spent all morning hauling out all this gear to hook up a computer. And we're like, what's going on here? And then we played Pong on it. Remember the Pong, Pong? And yeah.
And everybody was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Dude, I remember when, like, a lot of people won't be able to identify with this. You bring up a good point. I'm in the 5th grade. I come home from school. My dad's at the desk in the living room, and he's like, boys, come have a look at this. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, a Macintosh.
Oh, you had the first
like,
Mac. Did he keep it?
Oh, yeah. He still got it. He's like,
That
I'm
might
like,
be worth money.
probably is. I'm like, what does it do? He's like, does everything a typewriter does, but a million things more. And you can paint with it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you see this thing? It's called a mouse. If you press this button and hold it down,
old mouses.
and you can drag it around, it'll paint on the screen. I'm like, what?
The mouse was like this big, remember?
It was fucking
Had a big, huge
side of
click
my
on it.
fucking head. It had a little roller in the middle. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was shocked. I was like, what does this thing do? What are we talking about? And then my dad's like, I also got you a Commodore VIC-20. You can play Frogger. I'm like, what is going on? And you can play Frogger, and a video game was like the very first in television video games. I'm like, this is like, I would hate to live in the dark ages. Those were the dark ages.
Yeah.
Those were the fucking dark ages where you had to do everything by hand. Like if you did homework, do you remember doing homework?
Yeah.
Like, now you do homework. You can chat GPT the fuck out of a book report. Right? When I did homework, you had to get
How do
an
they do that?
Encyclopedia Britannica
How do
off
they-
the fucking shelf, and you had to
How do
go
they make
through
kids
it,
do homework
and then you write
now?
the stuff. I don't even know. I was talking to my son the other day, and I'm like, dude, like it's impossible. Like there are so many tools at your disposal for you to cheat, and he goes, we know. Like we know. We don't. Like the schoolwork now is such a joke. And when I grew up, it was like you had to read the book, you had to do the work, and then you had to go to the fucking library. Remember when you had to go to the library and use microfiche? Remember that?
Yeah.
Or you
Let's
get a
slip 'em
slide
in.
out, you put it on a thing, and then you're like fucking rolling it around. You had the screen, it would blow it up to like 10 times, 20 times the size. But that was their way of keeping files. They would put everything on this really small little panel, and this panel had like an entire newspaper on it, and you would put it under this magnifying glass. Literally, that's how we used to go to the library to do research on microfiche. Like no word of a lie. Now a kid can get on, fucking do a book report, chat GPT, it kicks it out in like 8 seconds. Like 8 seconds with sources, and it's
We had to
not
learn to
plagiarized.
type.
Fucking
They don't
unbelievable.
teach kids how to type anymore.
No,
We had to go to
keyboarding doesn't
typing
exist. Oh yeah, yeah, on a typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're old.
we're old.
You owe me a
Not
Pepsi
as-
or whatever the hell is. Jinx.
No, Jinx, you owe me a Pepsi.
It's interesting though, and we kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning when we were talking about the pink shirt day discussion on Wednesday. I think it took me a while because I had some bitterness about how I was raised. But I got to a point where I realized that my values and who I am as a person are directly related to my upbringing, right? And there's countless examples, and it's not worth getting into. But I mean, and over time, you have people point things out to you, right? Hey, maybe you're an alcoholic because you started drinking at 12. Little things like that. But I have no regrets about how I was raised. And I have no regrets on what I went through because I actually really like who I am. And I appreciate who I am. And I think I have the values that I have based on how I was raised. And you know what? That includes the good shit and the bad shit.
For sure.
It's all encompassing. And I think it's
you're
important.
grateful for it. Like you're telling stories that like a lot of
grateful.
us have never been subjected to, right? Like just you're growing up, you're telling stories and you're like, we're all going, fuck that must have been terrible. And you're like, I am so grateful for it. That's a sign of a fucking good man. That's a sign of a guy that's got together. Congratulations, Lochlin.
Well,
you got your shit together.
But I did have some stuff that like literally like that I probably shouldn't have gone through, right? Like I honestly I wish I had a different mindset around hunting, but it was not a healthy thing for me. I remember going out and I don't even like to talk about it, but I shot a deer when I was 13 because it's what you did, right? You learn how to shoot a weapon.
For food.
You went out, and it traumatized me. Killing. I've talked about killing the rabbits because of the rabbit farm down there. That traumatized me. Right. There was one. I don't even know if I should get into the details. So we had this road not far away from us, and it was down a hill and around a corner, and there was a river, and the road followed the river. And trucks, if they weren't paying attention, they had to slow down. And I don't know if they had it signed properly or whatever, but I'd say once or twice a year, we would have a dump, like a truck would roll over, and it was everything. And then the word would go through the city. There was a truck of watermelons that dumped at the Moye, at the bend. So everybody would get in their trucks and literally would go down there and you'd start stealing shit from the side of the road. Because it was 2 hours to Cranbrook, and that's where they had to come from. So it was lumber, it was all sorts of stuff. And this is awful.
It's like the fucking Trailer Park Boys.
Dude, this one time, a pig truck, they haul pigs. It dumped, and it dumped bad. And so we run down there, And there's guys taking pigs that were dead from the accident, throw them in the back of the truck. And there was an RCMP officer wandering around with his
service revolver, popping pigs.
I still have an image of that. Like, just
That bothers you.
We got a couple of pigs and they were very, very tasty, but I did not need to see how some of them came to an end.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
Squealing and yeah.
No, it's and watching anything die is never good. But fuck, you know what, dude?
It's still alive when I got up on it.
Oh, right? Was it really?
Because it was up on a crest and it was coming down, and so I shot it up, and I hit it right in the neck. I didn't hit it in the heart where you're supposed to shoot it. So I got it.
Well, you were 13.
I got it with a 30-30. 13 years old. Who does that? I mean, kids do that.
You, right? Yeah, for sure they do. We can't. I don't ever judge that. Like, I got attacked by the Canadian Firearm Association, whatever, over the past like 5 or 6 days, and I'm like, I don't have a problem with you guys owning firearms. I don't have a problem with people hunting. I don't have a problem with people that do it for a living, right? Or specifically for their family to eat. I think it's fine.
No, and it's a very touchy subject out here. But I will tell you this: you don't need an.
It's very touchy. No, you don't. Or a handgun. You don't.
You don't need a handgun. I'm sorry. I mean, you guys can be mad at me all you want. I don't care. I've said this out loud countless times.
Yeah.
You're never going to convince me that you need a handgun or you need an AR-15. You don't. If you
unless, of course, there's an alien invasion. Unless there's an alien invasion. Unless these UFOs are real, then you might.
If that's the case, then sign me up. I'll take
scoped AR-15. I don't mind having one. Did you see Biden today? See Biden tell people what was going on?
He was supposed to speak to this, and I missed it. What did he say? Did he say
I've got it. You want to watch it with me? President Joe Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you a second to get situated. The UFO dilemma, the shooting down of unidentified flying objects, was not Chinese surveillance related.
Okay.
Let's watch
huge.
It is. It is. Let's watch this. This is Joe Biden telling everybody what he knows or what he's supposed to tell everybody, depending on if you're a conspiracy theorist around this or not. I think they're aliens. I'm on the conspiracy theorist side with this alien bullshit, to be honest with you.
I think can't believe in one of them was an alien.
I'm positive one of them was an alien, even though I have no idea.
I have a theory.
All right, let's listen to Joe Biden.
Share my theory.
I'm excited to hear it. Joe Biden on the UFOs.
We don't yet know exactly what these three objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country.
What?
The intelligence community's current assessment is that these three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
Oh, so he didn't say it was aliens. Okay.
I teed it up like you did.
I thought for sure he was going to say it.
Yeah, I did. I teed it up like he did. Let's watch it again. Did you hear what Biden said? These are not Chinese weather balloons, Chinese spy balloons.
Has
probably
anybody
just private balloons? But can I be honest with you? I don't believe them.
We don't yet know exactly what these three objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country. The intelligence community's current assessment is that these three objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research.
Okay, Dark Brandon, cut it out. You can't just say most likely. Like, most likely, you know what they are. Don't most likely this thing. You don't most likely science. You don't most likely, invasions, or you don't most likely what China's doing. You don't most likely Russia. What are they? They're aliens. You and I both know that, Locke.
So I have a theory.
Alien invasion. Yes. What's your theory?
So I predicted this in the last couple of years. I've said before 2030 for sure. And I even said within the next 5 years, within the last year or so.
Invasion.
We are going to have an encounter from another planet where it's undeniable.
Yes.
Have you seen Arrival with
Yes.
Amy Adams? Great
movie. Yep.
I think it's going to be something similar to that.
Jeremy Renner, Amy Adams. Great movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I
it's
love the
worth watching.
memes from that movie, by the way, too. You know where she's holding up this thing? And she's like, my name is so-and-so. Now, the memes that are going around is like, got weed.
I haven't seen those.
Oh, they're the best. The Arrival memes I love more than anything.
So here's what I said. And a lot of people are confused because they don't pay a lot of attention to the news, which is fine. God love you if you're able to disconnect yourself from the world. I envy that. But a lot of people are saying China is already taking credit for it. No. China said they own the balloon that the U.S. shot down over the Atlantic. That was last week. These 3 other objects, there's no connection. And the thing that I find interesting is there's been a lot of confusion about how these things were presented to the public. So was it a balloon? No, it wasn't a balloon. Yes, it was a balloon. No, hold on. This guy said it was a balloon. No, that guy said it was metallic. And so to me, that confusion immediately got my spidey sense, my conspiracy spidey senses tingling. So here's my theory on this. I think at least one of these was an unmanned craft from another planet, and they're testing us to see where we're at as a society. Because I think before anybody makes contact with another planet, another world, they're going to see if they're at the shoot first, ask questions later stage in their societal development. And unfortunately, I think we just failed a huge test from another. Why are you laughing? I'm serious about this.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were joking.
No, I'm dead fucking serious about this. I think they shot down one of these things.
Okay.
And now that alien planet's going, okay, not yet. We'll give them another 50 years. They need to evolve.
You really believe that? You think an
believe.
alien? Okay, so let's recap what you think is going on. Your theory, your hypothesis. And listen, there are no wrong answers here because we don't know anything other than what Biden said. He's like, not Chinese spy balloon, maybe private balloons. I don't doubt that these are aliens. I don't doubt that you might be onto something saying maybe there's one real one mixed in there. Maybe all 3 are mixed. No one knows. Maybe it was like a dipping a toe in the water for the alien societies. And they're like, let's go down, see if they welcome us, see if they say hi, see if they say, my name is, or see if they have a placard. Let's see if Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner are around, and see how this goes. Maybe Richard Dreyfuss, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You don't know. Maybe they're looking for Richard Dreyfuss and they found an F-22 Raptor and they got blown out of the sky. There's a lot of possibilities here. You and I are absolutely crazy to be talking about this in terms of it being real, but I don't doubt that there are fucking aliens out there, and I can't discount the fact that these were, and I also can't discount the fact that the government might not be telling the truth about these things. To the point.
It's obvious they're not. It's obvious they're hiding something. Something is a little fishy about how this 100%. Is being delivered.
Yes. Yeah. Trudeau hasn't said a word. They're like, we can't read. Some of them are like, whoa, but we can't recover.
You can't trust that.
That's bullshit. No, I don't trust them either.
Here's the thing.
Well, hang on.
Okay, finish what you're going to say.
Yeah. I just want to finish this. In terms of what it might be, in terms of what it is, we have no proof. We're just taking the word of government. Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, come on. Are you serious? I had a conversation with disgraced former cabinet minister and minister of the Treasury of Canada. His name's Tony Clement. This is about 3-4 years ago. And nice. I like him. He got in a little bit of trouble sending pictures of his wiener to some people in like Nigeria or something.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short,
Don't do that,
I'm like, I remember saying to him, I'm like, straight up, are there aliens? He's like, there are things we can't explain. I'm like, tell me more. He's like, I can't. And I'm like, come on, hit me with it. Tell me more. And he's like, no, we sign an oath. There's lots of things we can't say as parliamentarians, as people that serve this country. We can't talk about certain things. And I'm like, so they're real. And he's like, we can't talk about any of that stuff. And so I don't believe anything the government says when it comes to aliens. Like, absolutely fucking nothing. Like zero. Same reason why I don't trust the government, because they said weed was bad for like 200 years. And you're like, are you fucking kidding me? We're curing problems with it right now, you stupid doofuses. And same thing with shrooms. Like, there's a lot of reasons to not trust the government, which is why when people who hate government go, let's just put in a different government of these guys because there'll be a real government. I'm like, you fucking morons, they're all the same. I'm all going to lie to you. It doesn't matter. Like, Pierre Poilievre wouldn't be telling us about aliens. He wouldn't give us the goods. That's who I'm going to vote for. Someone who's like, hey, listen, there's aliens, and here's some pictures. That's my next prime minister. I want that guy to be in charge of this country.
Well, and I think that's why we ended up
extraterrestrials.
I think that's why we ended up with a Trump down in the States, because I think there was a sense that he wasn't the establishment, and people are very hungry for something different than what we have politically on all sides. That's not a statement for or against what we're dealing with. The interesting thing about where we're at politically is we definitely are. This is how I denounce most conspiracy theories, right? And I'll use an example. The 15-minute city. I brought this up on the show and I said I'm against it. Not from the idea that the 15-minute city is a bad idea, because I think it is. I'm against it because I see this as something that somebody in power down the road might use as a way to create another tax, right? To make more money. And I think that that's how most politicians are wired. They're looking for ways to fill the coffers so that they can play, right? Because they like to have money. And I said, the concept's fine. You're never going to convince me it's a bad idea. I don't think they're going to lock us all down in districts. But the reason why I don't think they're going to lock us down in districts, and that it's just about money, and it always will be about money, and that we can't trust any of our public officials, is in the winter. I live in Edmonton now. They have plowed my neighborhood once, and they just plowed the back alley. They can't even keep the streets clean in Edmonton. So how do you expect them to be organized behind the scenes with all these wild conspiracy theories? They don't even mow the lawns here anymore in Edmonton. Literally, they don't. They mow the lawns twice a year. Yeah. In spring, once the sun starts rising high enough to actually make the grass grow, we have hay fields and dandelion plants all over the city. It's just a big, they're literally, you get dandelion, like they're a foot high. They can't even get their shit together to take care of the basic things the city needs. And that's just the city. It gets even worse when you're dealing with the province and then when you're dealing with the federal government.
Oh, so totally, dude.
I can't.
Ineptitude is unbelievable. I completely agree. I was laughing with someone the other day. I'm like, seriously, guys, like, what do you think? Because I'm golfing with, I'm going to Arizona in a couple weeks. And he's like, what do you think about these aliens? And I'm like, I think we got aliens, dude. I'm pretty sure. You know, like, and I'm a big, like, unless I can see it, I don't believe it guy. Like, I need context. I need to touch it, feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it for it to be real, right? But we're at that point where we're like, okay, we understand the depths of the universe to some extent. It's ridiculous and agnostically stupid to be able to sit here and go, we're it. That's all we got. And
so dumb.
By virtue of those ratios, we know that we're not the only life in the universe, in the galaxy, and in outer fucking space. So when these things happen and we get no details, and the president of the United States, who gets all the information, goes, it's probably something else. I'm like, you fucker, you're not telling the truth. Same with Trudeau. I'm like, you gotta fucking tell me if these are, like, because there's two things that I'm really interested in.
Did you see his press conference, Dean?
Who? Trudeau's?
He was lying. He might as well have held up a sign saying, right now I'm lying to everybody. Can you tell? Honestly, it was so obvious.
I wonder if it's a burden to know all those secrets. Like, I wonder what if you get into government, and by the way, we have some of the worst people in government at all levels.
They don't tell
them. Got the degenerate losers out there, which is why I'm shocked that a lot of those guys haven't, like, started singing about aliens at this point, because we have idiots that run countries now. Like, at some point, one of the political idiots is going to go, I got the papers, and they're going to want to get a few clicks on Twitter. Like, they're going to want to be posting some of these pictures or actually saying something definitively, because we're run by idiots at this point, right? Like 100 years ago, 50 years ago, smart people did a great job of covering up all kinds of stuff. Now they don't. Now they're like, we have legitimate village idiots running countries. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau. I mean, we literally have the drama. Like, you're going to trust a drama teacher? And when you're like, hey, are they aliens out there? Were those things we shot down you're not telling us about? Are they aliens? And he's like, absolutely not. I'm like, okay, can you go find an astrology guy or someone who watches this shit, and can you get his impression of it? No, we'd never do that. Never do that.
The other thing I think, and this is a bit of a conspiracy theory, but I truly believe this as well, and you'll never talk me out of this. I think that in most democratic countries, our leaders are just figureheads. They're playing a game to appease the population. I think there are people behind the scenes that actually are in power for long periods of time that make decisions, and it doesn't matter who's running the country. There's still major decisions that are being made behind like some curtains. And I know that sounds very conspiracy theory. Like, I understand
no, it's not,
how that
though.
makes me
it's
sound.
Not. You know what? All you have to do
that.
is talk to somebody and tell them, like, if you think the government doesn't lie to you, all you have to do is tell them, hey, by the way, 7 years ago, cannabis was a Schedule I drug, and now it's free, and you can buy it at the corner at Smoke Zone. Like, legitimately, it's all you have to do. Let's talk about COINTEL. Let's talk about all the things that we've had hidden from us for years. Like, that's why when these conspiracy theorists and these anti-government dorks that like take it so seriously and get angry, that's why I never agree with them. Like, I agree, and it's an easy gimme, right? To be able to say, well, you can't trust the government. Well, of course you can't trust the government. They've been lying to us for hundreds and hundreds.
They've been lying
of years.
to us forever.
Yes,
they've been lying to us
forever. And no government change will change that, right? Like, it doesn't matter who the next guy is. He's not giving up the UFO details either. So if you think Pierre's going to be the guy or Jagmeet's going to go, listen, let's take the cover off UFOs and tell everybody, they never will. They never will, ever, because they're afraid that it's going to blow up some minds. And you know the minds that they're afraid of blowing up? I'll tell you the minds they're afraid of blowing up. The religious minds, who think that the earth was formed 5,000 years ago and Jesus did it in 7 days, and then he came down to earth for 33 years, and that is it. That it's God and earth and Christians and the eternal life and all that.
Well, that's much easier to believe than aliens.
I mean, say that out loud. Isn't that fucking hilarious? I believe in aliens, according to what we don't know, way more than I believe in some kind of magic killjoy in the sky that's like, let's do that. Let's do that. Cancer for the 4-year-old? No problem. Yeah, that's not real. Seriously. It's so much easier to believe in aliens than at least God.
Here's also, can I tease the locker room?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we've been Grantless this week, and I'm missing him because he adds a huge element to our show. So we've had a rough week, but Jimmy and I have been fighting all week like a married couple over this, because he's a religious man. And I believe that at least one of these three things that was shot down on the weekend was alien. So we've been going back and forth. And people have been like weighing in on both sides of it, right?
Yeah.
And I've been getting constant communication. Every time I go onto my Twitter, my Facebook, I've got another message from somebody that has another theory, another angle. And Jimmy has a shunt in his head and has had it in there since he was 10 years of age. He had hydrocephalus. Is that how you say it, Dean?
Hydrocephalus, yeah. Water on the brain.
Yeah. So he had to, and they didn't know what it was at first. So they sent him to emergency surgery, and the doctor puts in a shunt. Basically, it's got a little pump on it, and it drains. It's got a tube that runs into his stomach, and it drains fluid from. Now, we looked it up one time. We actually had somebody on from the society, and they were telling us that, you're supposed to get these things changed every 10 years. And Jimmy's like, what? I've had mine since 1984. And she was like, what? Honestly, I think he has alien technology in him. And he won't give me the name of his doctor in Calgary. that put
Are
it
you
in.
serious? Yeah,
Who
he's
I
not going to
think
give you the
may
name of his doctor because he doesn't want you to call him to get him a
I'm
new
calling
shunt
him
because he
to
doesn't want
find
to
out
have
what the hell he has in his head. Like
not
it's
an
some
alien
kind of
doctor.
alien technology. So this in the next week or so,
Yeah,
and I don't talk to his mother for a number of reasons. We don't need to go down that.
she
garden
hates
path.
you. That's why she
Yes.
hates your
So
guts.
I'm
yes.
at the point. I have Janice's number. I have contacts within the White family. I'm going to find out. I'm going to track down whether or not it was a doctor, a real doctor that put this in, or some kind of a lizard person.
Yeah, lizard person.
You know what? And
What's
today he did give me a name of the doctor. He says last name is Miles. So I went and I looked up neurosurgeon, Calgary, Miles. I got a web page. The picture was blurred. They wouldn't show a picture of him.
It doesn't mean he's an alien or a lizard person.
I
Not
don't
that I
think
don't
Jimmy's an
believe.
alien. I think
No,
he
but
has
he's
alien
not a-
technology in him.
Okay.
And I think he might have been abducted as a child and that he's suppressing memories, and that's why he's so anti-alien. And he got anally probed multiple times, and he's protecting the overlords from another planet.
You know what? I actually believe that more than I believe that Jesus died for our sins. Legitimately. Like I believe that to be more true than anything in the Bible. And you might be right, but when it comes to lizard people, I don't believe that shit. Joe Rogan does. Did you see this? He
actually
called like
does
this.
believe it.
Yeah, he does. He believes that evil lizard people trying to control the world, and that certain news outlets are run by these evil lizard people. And former CNN anchor Brian Stelter is one of these lizard people. Joe Rogan, JRE.
Well, I just admitted that I think that there's people controlling our governments around the world that aren't elected. So I'm going to bow out,
Yeah.
and I'll let you finish off this.
I don't think that that's the case. I think that we've been visited. I don't think that there are lizard people running this planet. That's pure fucking crazy. Like pure crazy. But he did have a fucking guy on his show, Matt Taibbi. And I'm not a Joe Rogan guy.
Listening to that.
Yeah, where they were talking about cancel culture because Elon Musk is taking it in the mouth.
I was surprised Matt was on with him, to be honest with you.
No, Matt's a lot of people don't like Matt Taibbi. I'm like indifferent to Matt Taibbi. I think
He gets in the weeds on the he's very liberal. And
he's
Joe
not. It doesn't. No, he's not. Like Matt is so liberal that it's horseshoe theory liberal. Like he's all the way back around the other side. But like these guys like to talk about free thinking and they like to talk about cancel culture. And you and I talk about cancel culture from time to time. And Joe Rogan and Matt Taibbi were talking about cancel culture in terms of Elon Musk, because if you've seen the latest on Elon, no one likes him anymore. Like his Twitter engagements, shit. He had like all the Twitter guys, like his engineers, rejig Twitter's algorithm on his tweet because nobody likes him anymore. That was after the fucking Super Bowl. And so he tilted the deck. So, you know, all of his tweets come out first. He basically, I mean, it's just this fucking paranoid, egomaniacal bullshit. But people don't like him for legitimate
thing.
Well, if you
gave me the keys, I'd be like, everyone's going to see my shit first.
Well, and
Good
you can't.
morning.
He owns it. Like I don't begrudge him. Like I watched a couple of really high profile Twitter guys, TO resident and someone named ISIS Wise, that were following Doug Ford and talking about like going after the alt right. They got pumped. Like their accounts just got suspended today, like out of nowhere. And someone was like, dude, what do you think of that? I'm like, it's a private enterprise. Like this guy can do whatever he wants, right? Twitter is his own business. I don't care. Like he can get rid of me tomorrow.
You can't go on and pretend that free speech is the be all end all, and then you can't stifle one side you don't agree with. That's the issue I take with it, right?
Yeah. And we've seen a lot of that because he espouses those views. Anyway, Taibbi and Rogan got into it, and they were talking about Elon really starting to look like he's getting canceled, right? And I want to talk about this in terms of like, is this real? Like, is this like, is what they're talking about an actual thing, or are they just consequences for shitty behavior? Let's watch this and we'll talk about it. It's about a 2-minute long clip. And dude, I don't hate Joe Rogan. I think he's wildly irresponsible. I think it's hilarious that his own company puts like warnings on his podcast saying, hey, the shit in here is a lie. So go here and read the other stuff. That's the truth. I think it's fucking hilarious. But whatever. I mean, you know, people are allowed to have conversations, talk about whatever they want. And that's what he does. And he does it better than everybody else. Is he wrong? Everybody would say yes. However, this is him talking about cancel culture. And I want you to listen to pay special attention to the Hitler dog whistles in here too. It's fascinating stuff.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. There's an amazing amount of resistance against him. And, there's just the publicity campaign against him has been fascinating to watch. People go from thinking that Elon Musk is the savior that's bringing us these amazing electric cars and engineering new reusable rockets to he's an alt-right piece of shit who wants Donald Trump back in the office. And it's very wild.
The speed with which they can sort of shuffle somebody into the Hitler of the Month Club routine, right? We've always done this with foreigners, whether it's Noriega or Saddam Hussein or Milosevic or Assad or whatever it is. We have a playbook for cranking out negative information about, foreigners who get in our way for whatever reason. But now we've kind of refined that technique for domestic people who are inconvenient. I think they did it with Trump, obviously. They try to do it with Tucker Carlson, with you. You got a taste of that for a few times.
Yeah, it's interesting,
right? And then with Elon, he went from being the guy who made electric cars sexy to something to the right of Viktor Orban in 10 seconds. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And the narrative is spread through progressive people. Well, they'll just say it now. It's like they've reached the memo. The memo's got to them. And then I hear people in LA, I hear people that I know oh, Elon's just so crazy. It's like something happened to him. He went nuts and he's a right winger now. How? What are you saying? What examples do you have? They don't have an example. They just have this narrative that reached them, the signal. Elon bad now. Oh, right. Elon bad now. Elon bad now. Elon bad.
Interesting conversation. Now, without seeming flippant and sounding like I know better than him, I do. Elon Musk is on the weekend after he put out a tweet about the Super Bowl. He was ratioed by a Joe Biden tweet, got angry, sent it out to the engineers. So we're all getting together. And you guys are going to tilt the deck in my favor because this is bullshit. I'm being shadow banned by my own algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Had a fucking freak out, right?
Really? This is true. We know this is true?
100% true. Great article in The Verge. Great article on The Platformer. 100% true. Zoe Schiffer, who follows these guys for her publication. It was well documented by a ton of people, It's all real. Go to The Verge. You can go to deanblundell.com. You can go to crier.co. You can actually read this article that I actually put together about the whole thing, which has receipts. It's a legitimate thing. His cousin James was tasked with trying to get Elon's algorithm working for just him better than it worked for everybody else on Twitter so that everybody could see. So the next day, people opened up their Twitter handles. Boom, they were just fucking inundated with a whole bunch of different tweets from Elon Musk. And they're and then he was like, okay, I'm going to try and figure it out and work on the algorithm. Posted a picture of someone force feeding someone else milk saying, that's Elon. This is Twitter.
Okay, that's what that was.
You remember?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just put that over here. Generally speaking, people that do that are pussies, and we regard them as such. So, we go, that's a shame. Fuck, the guy was so cool, and now he's being such a pussy. There are 40 billion examples of that over the past, 10 years of knowing who Elon Musk is. Now, here's the thing. Twitter engineers, when he asked for why Joe Biden's emails and Joe Biden's tweets were so much bigger than his, they said, listen, the bottom line is you're not trending on Google. You're trending at a 9. Joe Biden's at a 100. So this is really just about who's in the news cycle, who everybody's talking to, who's more famous. And you're not as famous. Nobody likes you right now. Fired those guys on the spot. Monday. After the algorithm came out. Fired them. It's like, you're out. You're gone. Joe Rogan and Matt Taibbi are talking about that like it's a shame. These aren't natural fucking consequences of being a douche. Just being a douche. I'll leave the alt-right, far-right, dog whistling, all that stuff to the fucking everybody else. I'm tired of it. I don't want to talk about it. But Like when you act like an asshole or a soft baby or a douchebag or an egomaniac, the rest of the world can see it.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world goes, fuck. And here's the other thing. He is one of
Elon
the
Musk
worst
thing is-
follows on Twitter in the world. Like he's terrible at it. Widely regarded as one of the worst tweeters in the world. He's just it's nothing. Like so no one's going to interact with a guy who everybody can't stand because they know what he's all about, and no one's going to interact with a guy who also is that and can't tweet. Like that's his problem. And so guys like Joe and guys like Matt are like, "Oh, the cancel culture's coming for him." And maybe they are. I'm sure there are certain publications that are anti-Elon. I'm sure he gets a lot of negative press just because he's Elon Musk and he's one of the richest guys in the world. I'm sure people are after him just because, and I'm sure the left fucking hates him because he amplifies, the right, or he amplifies views that the left doesn't want. I'm sure. Great, good, fuck, yes, whatever. Great, awesome. But here's the fucking thing. There are natural consequences for everybody that falls out of favor. You are trendy one minute, you're not. And he's not trendy anymore. Like people are sick of his shit. And it's got nothing to do with what he's doing in terms of what he's representing for me. It's got everything to do with the fact that he just sucks at this and he looks like a giant pussy all the time. Like isn't that what this is? Isn't that what those two guys are talking about? Right.
I think in order to have this conversation, and we should almost put a pin in this, because we could be here for an hour. But I will say, here's what I'll say. You're not wrong. Elon is a dick, and now everyone's got their sniffer on him a little bit. It doesn't mean that that they're wrong about the cancel culture. It's just we're using Elon Musk as an example, and it's the worst possible example. I think that's why you're so triggered. If we're going to have this conversation effectively, we got to stop using things like Jordan Peterson, like Elon Musk, blah, blah, blah. Right? Like I read an article because we were talking about the Joker movie that's coming out with Lady Gaga. And somebody posted Todd Phillips is brilliant, blah, 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 which I agree. Hangover. And I said, I hope he makes a comedy again. And I was tagged in an article from somebody on Twitter that said, you got to read this article. This is him talking about why he doesn't think he should ever be able to do comedy. He is so worried about being canceled because of the movie that he wants to make. And I think that's the root of the conversation we need to have. Because we're at a time right now where whatever your opinion is, you get put into a camp. So, and I'll use myself as an example because I think I'm a better example than Elon Musk. I say things every week that piss one side or the other off. I have literally gone from one week, if you were more left-wing, you'd have a better show. You should shut up. To the next week from the other side, if you were more right-wing, you'd have a better show, more listeners. You should shut up. And that happens because
people are dumb.
Well, no, because I mention things that upset people based on my observation. Like I'll have an observation to something and I'm not necessarily siding with it. I just make that observation and it doesn't line up with their way of thinking. So they actually think I don't deserve a radio show because I don't have the same opinion as them. That to me is what Joe Rogan and many people that are anti-cancel culture, that's where I think the problem lies, is that if you say something in the public space, or put it out on Twitter, if it doesn't align with somebody's belief structure, whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to even be political. It could just be, there is a faction of the population that believes that you don't deserve to have that platform, even if it's minimal.
Dummies.
And that's the problem in the world that we live in right now. And I think
Those are just
that
stupid
needs,
people. Those are just stupid people. Like we sit around and talk about the left and the right, but we're talking about stupid people. Like I watch people today, go, oh, you're happy then now that left-wing accounts are getting nuked. Look, I'm like, no, they're stupid. Like you're all stupid. Every one of you that thinks this is important. that thinks like having a Twitter account is like the most important thing in the world, or the fact that you might be right, or the fact that you think that what you believe needs to be inserted into my life in a fucking tweet that's 280 characters or less, right?
The
Like,
bigger problem,
that's what a stupid person thinks.
Dean,
Legitimate.
the bigger problem, it's not stupid people. The bigger issue in this is that it impacts how people think and deliver content now.
Totally.
And that's the bigger issue. And that's what I have a problem with.
But that is the goal of the stupid
in my
people,
head
is
right
to prevent you from delivering that message because they don't like it. So they win.
It's on both sides.
That's what I said. I said they're on both sides. The stupid people from the Antifa movement, the stupid people from the right. We have extremes on both sides that will attack people for saying things or being things or doing things. Right?
Because I want to have a legitimate conversation about what it's doing to society.
Yeah.
And because I think when I listen to Joe Rogan and he goes down this path, I kind of agree with him. And I kind of
do
agree
too.
And this is the thing. I don't like Jordan Peterson. I don't like anything that he has to say. But occasionally he hits on stuff like this and it makes sense. And then I got assholes on my Twitter tagging me in Jordan Peterson appearances in Edmonton because I said, listen, you know what? The guy has a point. And that's why people are buying tickets, even if it's only 5,000. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, Jordan, you're a Jordan Peterson disciple. So what ends up happening is a guy like me or somebody that has a weaker constitution sits there and develops content for their TV show, their radio show, their podcast with thoughts in the back of their mind about how not to upset one side or the other. And it's influencing the information that everybody's getting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking up everything across the board.
Yep.
And it's a major problem in the world we live in. Take cancel culture out of it. There are days I don't do content on my radio show
because you're afraid of the reaction.
I'm afraid of how people are going to react. That is a major problem. And I'm one of the louder mouths in this country. I'm one of the guys that is less scared to say things that I believe on my radio show, but I still let it impact the decisions I make when I'm putting together my prep for the next day. I do it on this podcast because of that comment section. I do it in everyday life. We all do it, and we're all influenced by this underlying concern that someone's going to be upset. And there's this underlying belief in society that if I upset the wrong people, they might shut me down at some point, shut down my Facebook, cancel me, send a letter to my boss, whatever it is.
YouTube.
Stop listening to my show.
Yeah.
Tell other people to stop listening to my show. And that's a great thing that I think we need to have a conversation about.
Well, let's do it when you come back. I know you're not here tomorrow. You're going to be here next week. We can get into cancel culture stuff then. We can get into some more fun. It is great to see you. I know you got a heart out because you got a window guy coming over to put windows in for you. So I'll let you go.
He's just at my door.
Well, there you go. You get out of here. Great to see you again.
It was good to see you.
Cross. Yeah, 957cruisefm.ca. At Lochlin Cross on Twitter. Some really valid points there about cancel culture, but you can't run away from consequences. And sometimes the mob wants what the mob wants. I've been in it. I've seen it. I've been subjected to it. It's fact. You can do nothing about it. And what Rogan was saying with Taibbi wasn't without some merit. I mean, discarded in the fact that he's got a massive bias for his buddy Elon. But we like to do that. We like to look for things that people did and do, and we like to chase them around with it. And we like to convince other people that, this person's a bad person based on something they did 10 years ago, 12 years ago, last week. And that may be the case. That may be the case. But I can tell you this. As someone who has zero regard for the response that comes back when I do content, it's all a joke. It's all a joke. It's fucking Twitter. It's Facebook. It's an app on your phone. Who gives a shit? Do your content. Say what you want. Just don't hurt people, right? It's kind of the bottom line. Like when someone hurts a large group of people or another individual, they say something specifically to hurt somebody, they get canceled. Isn't that just a fucking natural consequence of life? Isn't that just like you doing shit and then getting in trouble for it? Aren't these just things that happen because you made a decision to be a dick and hurt somebody? If it's an opinion that's unpopular, it's different. Anyway, thanks, Locke. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. It was fun. And a good conversation. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a nice review. We'd appreciate it. YouTube, Dean Blundell Show, Twitch, Dean Blundell TV. And you can get us at crier.co, our new home with all of our friends. We had our first staff meeting yesterday. We had about 40 people on a phone call, Zoom call last night. It was so nice to see everybody. A lot of fun, big things that are going to be happening here. But everything that we do in the Crier Media family is on our Crier Media YouTube page. We would highly encourage you to go and check it out. Please go and subscribe to that, as well as the Dean Blundell Show page. Thank you very much. We always appreciate your support. And don't forget, you can get us anywhere you get your audio podcasts as well. And go to crier.co, the podcast section. Check out everything we do. Everybody in the network, now over 80 different podcasts. It doesn't matter what you like. We probably got something for you, including Talking Buds, the Leafs podcast. The Furnish Brothers, you got to listen to this podcast. It's incredible. And Habs Unfiltered with my friend Blaine Potvin. Go and check them out. Leafs big winners last night. Habs, who cares? Anyway, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our partners and sponsors. First and foremost, Ed at Ed's Fine Imports. He's my guy. He's your guy, too. He makes underwear. Best in the world. Boxer briefs, luxury boxer briefs, underwear that fits you and your lifestyle. Listen, this isn't an easy game. Running around all day with your stuff. Guys have things other people don't, and you want to keep those things away from the inside of your leg. That's why they have the pouch. Gitch 3, the best luxury underwears on the planet. Underwear on the planet. And they're made for Canadians by Canadians. Go to edsfineimports.com. Order online now. Use promo code GITCH3, and you'll get yourself a free pair of underwear when you check out. Isn't that nice? Also, we are brought to you by Kivlaw Defense Lawyers, top criminal defense attorneys in Southern Ontario, looking to help you get your life back. You need legal help 24/7. They're available 24/7. All you have to do is go to kivlaw.ca, hit the Speak to a Lawyer Now button. Boom, you are there. All their contact information is there. If you're in trouble, did something you didn't do, wrongful arrest, you've got some kind of offense, doesn't matter what it is, litigation, you name it, they do it. They throw their beautiful, loving arms around you, legal, loving arms around you, and they say, we got this. So make sure you give my friend Robert a quick email, robert@kivlaw.ca. Go to kivlaw.ca for more details. And, of course, Colin Livingston and our friends over at Cantork, Canada's assembly tool experts. Torque wrenches, the best in the world for heavy machinery. Any kind of application where you need a wrench, specifically a torque wrench and a bolting solution that you don't have one for, these guys do. No matter the scale of your bolting project, they have the very best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, custom fabrication at Cantork.com. It's a Canadian company out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Very proud to have them as part of crier.co. And Talking Torque is their podcast, by the way. You can go and give that a listen to you as well if you're a big heavy machinery guy, or if you're a big race car guy. He's also a sponsor of Alex Tagliani's NASCAR race team. So please do us a favor. If you're looking for a torque tooling solution and you can't find one, and for a bolting project, go to cantork.com. They've got it all day long. And don't forget to sign up for our Pink Shirt Day live stream, crier.co, front page of the website. And if you got a school, if you got a class, if you want to have some people talk about harassment and bullying, we've got an incredible lineup. Jen Valentine, my friend Jimmy, Ali Khan, and, of course, Kareem Assad. She will be there as well. That is on the 22nd, which is next week. So a little bit of time to sign up for it. Really appreciate you being here, everybody. Thanks. Don't forget to subscribe, say nice things. And if you don't have anything nice to say, whatever. I'm easy. Appreciate you being here. We'll be back on Monday. Not here tomorrow. Going golfing. For real. Have a great day, everybody. See you Monday. Bye.
Hey, buddy.
This is what it's like working with boomers. This is what happens. Boomers and their tech. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. Have a good day. I'm sure these guys will see you tomorrow.